Welcome to this Fireside chat. I'm joined with Chris. Chris, do you mind giving a quick introduction about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Chris Tradgett. I've been around the affiliate space for probably about 18 years now, and both network side and then client side, and the past 6 or 7 years looking at analyzing affiliate tracking. So I kicked off with Buyout in about 2002/3. If anyone here is old enough to remember the Buyout network before it was acquired by AOL and then AWIN. We had a significant period of growth and it was a good time, interesting times back in then. And the affiliate market's changed massively over the past 15 years or so since then. And I thought it's easier to running this program stuff. I spent a year doing that, setting up and running a program for a web hosting company in the UK. And then I realized, hey, this is hard, this stuff. Back in the days of Buyout, we used to use a thing called Centrix, which, if anyone is very long in the tooth, they'll remember that, in a very geeky way of analyzing affiliate tracking. That disappeared up the Swanee. And so having done it client side, what I've done is over the past few years, working as part of LinkDeck's SEO tool and then kind of moving on. The past year or so, we've been redeveloping the whole of this kind of publisher discovery platform built upon AI and machine learning, so that it provides a far more intuitive and much simpler way of finding new affiliates. So it's the stuff I wish had been around when I was running a program, and when we're running a network. Come to that. So yeah, that's kind of my background. Apart from that, when I'm not doing this, well, lockdown's allowing, I'm singing a cappella in a choir, or play bass guitar a bit, or this, that, and the other. Baking bread is my other passion.
Awesome. And one of the reasons I was excited to talk with you today is, like, I think that probably very few people have as much of an eagle-eye view of all things like affiliate recruitment, discovering new publishers, and how to grow a program. Mm-hmm. And that's often like the trickiest thing whenever you're managing a partner marketing program. It's just like, who do you recruit? How do you find them? Like what types of groupings of affiliates matter, etc. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we can uncover that today. Just to kick it off, can you tell me a little bit about sort of what is the biggest benefits the publisher discovery provides for growing affiliate programs?
Yeah, I suppose kind of there's a few touch points, really the way we built it, and we built it based upon partly kind of what I wanted when I was running programs. So that's a good kickoff point. And then we've been partly guided by our users. So a lot of it is about kind of what they want to see, and that has changed over years. So I suppose the key things are understanding what else is going on in your own vertical. So whether you're in kind of outdoor, or whether it's in finance for investments, or whether it's for, something like dating or whatever it might be, understanding which publishers are active in your vertical, who stand for that. And part of what we built is something which enables you to view that really quickly and simply, and then just filter that by your geo. So kind of within moments, you can be kind of seeing, right, there's my list of a few thousand affiliates who are active. You can then start filtering down and whittling it down to a kind of bring the funnel down to something that's really actionable very quickly. It's also kind of the other thing which I've always found really fascinating is just by analyzing the way the links work, you can see which affiliates are promoting your immediate competitors. So if you were Macy's, knowing all the affiliates on Bloomingdale's program is going to be a good place to start. So you can then see the gaps in your program. So that's why we've got kind of my vertical, my competitors, my gap analysis as the three main kind of targets within our affiliate interface. So it's all about understanding what you're missing out on, and then kind of basically reaching out and trying to fill the gaps up.
So a lot of it is like that competitor analysis portion, going to see exactly like who is promoting their programs, and then you can reach out to them.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So that's what we've been doing kind of and enabling that by providing within the platform, you can then see, as well as who's linking to who, you can see which websites they are and what social accounts are connected to them. But because the way we structure it, we look at kind of what's going on within each of the sites as well. We can see, yeah, that particular site is also connected to that one. They have the same GA account, so we can pull those in, say, okay, this guy's this one, but he also owns these 6 sites. So it makes it quite powerful. And then we pull in hunters' email addresses, which are purely, beautifully GDPR compliant. Sorry, it's a European phrase. So it's all about kind of they're public domain. So it's not including email addresses that have been pulled from mailing lists. They are pulled from
All personal
live
data,
stuff on
or like
the
not personal
website.
data, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. They're all stuff that's been published. So you've got no problems with reaching out. And we've had a
Oh,
few
awesome.
networks who've actually kind of been to the nth degree and analysed that and says, yep, that's fine. We can use those. It's great. So it's not just kind of what we're saying, it's what others are saying as well.
Yeah, and I think at this point, like everyone needs to be aware of GDPR. I mean,
Exactly.
Almost everyone is going to at least have some touch globally, and
Yeah.
like even for like CCPA, for like the California rules and stuff, like
Yeah,
you
sure.
just need to be compliant no matter what.
Yeah, and there is the thing that even if you're not targeting, you don't think you're operating in Europe. If you're kind of spamming somebody in Europe, GDPR can come and go for a huge proportion of your annual turnover and profits wherever in the world you are, which is, yeah, it concentrates the mind, I would guess.
A little bit scary. Cool. And what sort of makes you special versus like competing solutions,
Well,
if
I
there
think
are any
well,
anymore?
yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, it's a very tight niche, and kind of what we do is there are people who do similar-ish things. I mean, there are people who do similar-ish things to what we used to do, which is very SEO based. So there's quite a few SEO based tools, and there's things like SimilarWeb do things really quite cleverly, and they do quite a bit of upstream and downstream. Media Rails has some data in there, and I remember working with, kind of vying with Van years ago when he launched 5IQ, which became kind of part of Media Rails. And you got Group High, and there's loads of different things. And I think all of them have got a variety of different features and strengths. And I think it's fair to say that quite a lot of our clients use multiple data sources. So they'll use ours for one particular viewpoint. And I think it's a case of having, like with a good photographer studio, you'll have a number of spotlights. You're not going to just have that one. You want few different views on a market to really understand what's going on. So I think that's the best way of kind of, Tom says, I really love my visualizations of things, but that's the best way of putting it. And our users tell us that the benefit is we not only show sites with active affiliate links, unlike an SEO one, which will see, yeah, you got this, kind of Macy's.com, you see all the backlinks, but all the backlinks are everything, every link from Wall Street Journal or, the Retailer's Gazette or whatever it might be. Ours are just affiliate links. So the sites that are linking, if it's going through and we see it going all the way through to the retailer, we know that's an active affiliate link. So there's no kind of problem with seeing the list. So when you see the list, everything in there is an affiliate. So when you reach out to somebody, there's no education piece needed of saying, do you know what affiliate marketing is? You've been down that route before, I'm sure, if you've recruited affiliates, but you haven't got that bit. So it really shortcuts everything.
This is really a tangent, but I assume that you could actually use it to look at your own affiliate links too.
Yeah, sure.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like there's some like fraud protection there too, because you might find like you have some adult sites linking to you that you never knew about.
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah, I mean, we've often seen it, and I saw it in the previous version of our platform where in the UK, kind of UK version of Macy's, John Lewis, which is a kind of a real quality main high street retailer, and they excluded all coupon and all cashback incentive sites from their programs about a few years ago. And we saw within about a couple of weeks that we see all of the things like my voucher codes and voucher cloud and all of the rest of them appearing on the Skimlinks list, linking straight through to my to John Lewis. So
Mhm.
we can see that happening. So if somebody's linking through, they're not on your list, we'll see that still, because we see a link on a site which is going to eventually a retailer, even if it's via a couple of intermediary networks. So we
Wow,
see
that's
it.
really powerful.
Yeah. So it gives you an ability. It's not a brand verity type tool by any means, but it
Yeah.
does give you that visibility of seeing stuff that's on sites, and it might be a site that you recognize. I think it's also fair to say that, some sectors, maybe not at the moment, travel, but certainly within travel, we've seen a number of publishers where they'll have, best hotel in Denver, best hotel in San Francisco, best hotel in New York. They might have 2,000-3,000 websites. Each one is a separate domain, but you can imagine the guy's not going to sit there and go to the network interface and punch every single one of them into the interface. It just doesn't happen. So they use the same link across multiple sites. And you'll see those multiple sites, which you may not be aware of, but they're still the same publisher. And we show some
Yeah.
of those linkings as well.
Which is definitely important to know.
Yeah, it's useful to know.
Cool. So what's the origin story for the company?
Well, it's a few years back, while I was client side, I had a phone call from the guy who was um, the founder of the buyout network, Dr. Steve Brown, and he'd become involved with LinkDex, which is an SEO platform. And having been there for a little while, I said, I think we can find affiliates for this. And so we spent a fair while actually having to rebuild the way the SEO linking was working. Still using Majestic back in those days, I think it was, and but we had to go instead of SEO platform, which goes that deep in a domain. We had to go that deep. So we went 100 times deeper, because in average big affiliate site they'll have perhaps 1,000 pages, but they might have anything up to 500 or 1,000 links on those pages. So we had to kind of build up, and it became a behemoth, the limit when it took 37 days to index itunes.com back in the days when it was all on that domain.
Wow.
So yeah, I think it was something like 1.6 billion links through 1.4 million websites. So it's like saying, give me the internet. It's like a fire hose. It's no use at all. You're far better kind of indexing on a kind of tighter scale. You got a better understanding of what's going on. So that's what we were doing. Then after a couple of things, LinkDex moved over, decided to concentrate on that. I pulled out, and we spun out as a separate company for just publisher discovery. Then a year or so, nearly 2 years coming up to, we linked up and became part of CloudFind, if you've seen that word around, but CloudFind became publisher discovery. And so we're now together. So the beauty of the team at CloudFind is they had this amazing genius of an AI guy who, has patented machine learning stuff behind him as well. So a lot of what we do is unrepeatable. It can't be kind of replicated easily, certainly. And the new platform is a whole other ball game. And so we've created something which can be massively scalable, and it can pull down from the 2 million sites or so that we've got in our platform, linking to 400,000 advertisers in a matter of moments. You can filter that down to, here's my target list of 250. That's going to be my kind of account manager's week's work, basically linking up to that. So it's kind of, I suppose that was the original vision. It was never achievable in an SEO tool, but within this, it's doable, which is very exciting from my perspective.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't take that much, but like the right technological advancements like completely change everything for sure.
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
So out of curiosity, like what have been like the fastest growing verticals for your customers?
Well, it's a tricky one. Over the past 4, 5, 6, however many months, 6, 7 months, certainly kind of since March happened and the whole world tipped upside down. The obvious ones that have fallen apart are travel. Elements of retail have fallen apart and had to rebuild themselves massively. But hearing what's going on at some advertisers, some retailers, there are some massive changes going on. Finance was a big early kind of winner. We saw people really searching on finance, and it wasn't on the loan space. It was on the investments, and it was on other areas of business, that kind of stuff. So really, really, really broad. Insurance was big as well, but also I think it's fair to say kind of outdoor was a big winner. Bizarrely, I think kind of the searches for outdoor for people researching Cabela's and all of the other guys, for stuff. And I think hearing from some of the retailers, massive increase in gun ownership, which I think, well, hang on, it's a virus. You can't shoot it. The best thing is you bleach, but not injected. No.
That's un-American. You can solve everything with a gun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But there's that, but also kind of a massive winner or casualty stroke winner was homewares and DIY and that kind of stuff. Certainly in the UK, we saw the two big DIY retailers, B&Q and Wickes, who are the two big ones here. They ended up for probably the thick end of 2 months choking their site. So you had sometimes a 45-minute wait to be admitted to the website.
Wow.
Because they had massive issues with just getting stock in, but also distributing it. So they had to choke the site completely. Most of the programs stayed pretty much okay, the affiliate programs, because it's most of the guys who are more progressive realize it's a cost for acquisition. It's not a marketing spend. So kind of, somebody's only going to get the commission when the guy's actually stuck the cash in a till and gone home with a product. So you had retailers doing that, choking the sites, a little wait page. But that was just to cope with demand, because it just went like through, everyone was furloughed from work, kind of sat in there kind of, okay, time to paint the shed or time to do whatever it might be, that kind of stuff. So that was all going on. And we've heard from a few of our OPMs and some of the advertisers that was a story throughout. Some people saw a 10 times increase in revenues. One of the guys who's in beverages, put it this way, it's mostly Scottish whiskey, but in beverages saw kind of a multiples growth, I think 6 times year on year over March previous year. So huge growth. I don't know whether it's drowning the sorrows or just got time to kill. One of the two.
Or both.
Oh, both.
Doesn't have to be exclusive.
Exactly, yeah. But there's no bars open, so you had to do something. But I'll just drink tea to that.
Cool. So I think that one of the most common challenges for anyone who's launching a partner program is what affiliates or publishers should you be recruiting in the early days? What are sort of the broad categories of affiliates that you should be thinking about for recruitment? Do you have any thoughts about if you were going to start a new affiliate program today, let's say for an e-commerce client, how would you think about what are the different segments of publishers I want to go after?
Yeah, it's good that you say. I mean, the obvious one and the one everyone thinks, where's the low-hanging fruit? What's easy? Oh yeah, I'll get listed on a cashback site or a coupon site and whatever, which are fine, and they'll happen reasonably quickly because the guys they basically soak it up. So they're the easy ones. On the flip side of that is that all impacts your margins massively. So if you want to kind of basically buy your way into it, that's the way of doing it. A much slower route and a slow burn, and I think perhaps the more sustainable long-term one is you need to start looking at the content sites that are kind of working your sector. So whether that's just a mommy bloggers or whatever it might be, if you're in that kind of area, or a food blogger for something that's involved in that sector, you need to be kind of involved with those guys, and it will be along a haul. But I think it's fair to say, and a lot of people actually written over the past 4 or 5 months I've seen from Acceleration, from a few other people, they've been writing pieces which are kind of all about kind of diversification of your program. And if you've got a diverse program, it's actually far more sustainable. It's got more resilience. If you've got, say for instance, in 2011, I think it was, I'm sorry, I'm going history because I've got that kind of viewpoint where I can do that. Google Panda came out and suddenly every coupon site went just through the floor. My voucher codes in the UK, my voucher code's lost 95% of its revenue overnight. And so kind of, whoa, all sorts happened. And in reality, those kind of, I won't call them lazy affiliate managers, but people who are relying on kind of 90% of their sales coming from coupon sites, suddenly their sales went to the floor and they had some explaining to do to the CMO. So yeah, it's very tricky. So if you are actually being more kind of a broader view on your overall market, you need to be engaging with the bloggers. You need to be engaging with the review guys if it's something that's more technical or something which involves service. So get involved with the review affiliates. Get involved with other sectors as well. So be on a shopping sites. There's the simple ones which you think, yeah, it's just a list of product, but just be involved in that. Make sure you've got your product available for affiliates who use kind of data flows and whatever. Make sure you've got that in place, and it's important to have all of that space going. Diversification, I think, is probably the most important part, and as many as you've got, including influencers. Some people say, oh well, influence is different, but certainly over the past 4 months, where influencer budgets and tenancy budgets have been cut to the bone, so many more influencers are using affiliate for backfill, because you can guarantee you're going to get some revenue. You won't get your $500 or $5,000 depending on what your fees are for a month's week's takeover or something like that. But what you do get is you'll get kind of ongoing residual
Steady
revenue.
flow.
Exactly, yeah. And so many influencers, certainly mid tail to long tail, have recognized that and are appearing in our lists increasingly.
Awesome. Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention there too is that I think for both like the coupon loyalty sites and for a lot of mommy bloggers too, one of the most useful Everflow features to keep in mind is the click to conversion time report, because there is basically two types of things that coupon sites do. One is they just rank up on your SEO keywords, so it'll be your brand name plus coupon. And right before someone's going to buy from your website, they do a quick search, they go to that coupon site, they use that coupon. That coupon affiliate now gets credit if they're in your program, which means that anyone else who's involved, like you could have had 5 other affiliates touch them, it doesn't matter at all because they went to a coupon site and that link has been replaced. So now the coupon site gets a credit for it and takes credit from everyone else, including your organics. So that's sort of like the bad coupon case. The other one is there's a lot of these that are like cashback or loyalty, where they decided to go to your store because they saw that there was a deal on the loyalty store and loyalty site, and they're checking it all the time. And this can easily be broken out by click to conversion time, because if they grabbed a coupon right before finishing purchasing, it's going to be a very short window between the time they clicked on the ad to the time they purchased. Whereas in the second case, if they were shopping on a loyalty site, then they have to get to your store. They have to shop through your store and choose what they're purchasing, etc. So that's going to be a much longer time window from click to conversion time. So always keep that feature in mind when you're working with coupon sites, because it really lets you distinguish like which ones are providing legitimate value.
Yeah, sure. And I'm sure there will be some elements of things like amplitude and other kind of site tracking stuff, which will tell you, 15 items put in the basket, then they went and clicked on that. And you can see all that stuff if you're really, really kind of granular about stuff, but not everyone has that kind of on-site tracking for it. So the big guys, of course, will do.
Yeah, so it's important to use it when you have it, because it makes life a lot easier. And like so much of like affiliate management, like 1 or 2 data points can be making your life 90% easier, because you just need to avoid like a few types of like potential like fraud or poaching, and then you're going to be okay. And then you can just focus on recruitment.
Yeah, I think it's also fair to say that where you have that kind of issue going on, it's worthwhile making sure you've got your program set up in a structured way, so that maybe if you are kind of heavily dependent on coupon sites, you can depress their commissions, but increase the commissions on the guys you really want, you value for the kind of linking they've got. So the mommy blogger and whatever, and the influencer, maybe they're on 10% and the coupon site's on 2, but that kind of stuff. Just make sure you can actually manage it more effectively.
Yeah, I mean that helps, but you still run into the issue where they may be only earning 2%, but maybe you had an amazing content review that should have gotten credit for that didn't get credit because they used the coupon. So you always want to make sure you have additional defenses on top.
Sure. Yeah, certainly.
Cool. So let's see. So do you have any thoughts about like what types of affiliates can be launched the quickest?
Well, certainly coupon and cashback tend to be that way because basically they just kind of want to add it into the product. If you're with some networks, I think AWIN have got that, you can actually kind of put your products into like a general list and be kind of used by some affiliates who just basically want to FTP everything straight into the sites and just kind of fill a running website based upon keyword searches and things like that.
Yeah, the coupon feeds.
Yeah, those kinds of things. So that's an easy win. I think it's the more valuable affiliate sites are the ones that are hardest to get taken up by. And I would say probably the best thing to do is to make sure that you're being a little bit more rounded. Think in terms of, so these guys, they're not just a business that's kind of you switch it on and switch it off again. With a lot of these guys, they invest a lot of emotional energy in building their affiliate sites and building their influencer sites and whatever. And so think in terms of, they're invested in that. So therefore you need to be as well. So you need to actually be thinking about who they are and what they are. And remember, they're people. So you need to understand them and relate with them. One of the things I've said quite often, because it worked for me way back when, and we've seen it working with people like Sarah Bundy's often said it, of kind of use social, because social really works. It still gets underneath the email radar. So if you've got a kind of a brand affiliates link, so something you run your affiliates, Casumo affiliates, and there's a few others, use an affiliate channel in Twitter just for talking to the affiliates. Follow the people that you're wanting to recruit to your program with that handle. That way if they get an email from you, it's soft landed straight away. But secondly, they might follow you back to find out why they're being followed by your brand, in which case you've got an open channel for a conversation. So do that kind of stuff. Understand what they're doing on social, read their Instagram, read their Twitter, read their Facebook. So when you actually reach out with your first email, the email actually sounds like it's coming from somebody who understands what their business is about and wants to talk to them as people, not just sell to them. So, and kind of, I suppose the other thing is, once you've made those conversations, just to kind of use another visualization here, think of it as dating as well, because it's fine. You might bring flowers and take them out to dinner on the first date, but if you want that to be a long-term kind of relationship, you need to keep those nice conversations, not necessarily flowers and dinner every time, but you need to keep the conversations going on that kind of level as a relationship on an ongoing basis, not just the kind of here's our latest banners, make sure you've removed the old ones, which you so often see. And it's just so kind of, it's not what you want to hear. You want to have something that says, I understand what you're doing. I've seen what you're doing on your site. I'd love to be involved in this bit. Only takes 10 minutes longer to look through a site and say, I'd love to be involved in that one. How can we get something similar for my brand? That kind of stuff. Just remember that they're people and they want to be involved in it.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing to keep in mind, and definitely want to highlight it, is that, like, as you mentioned, affiliates are people, and also that any company that they promote, they have to put time and focus to set it up, to get it running, etc., which is like, I mean, that is a risk, because it means that they couldn't focus on somewhere else where they might have made more money. So you always have to take into consideration, like, how am I making this such an exciting opportunity for them that they want to spend that time and energy on me and my brand instead of someone else's brand.
Exactly.
And like, that empathy is super important.
Yeah. I mean, from an account manager's point of view, when I was setting up an affiliate program for a hosting company, so many of them were kind of top 10 hostings and things.
Mhm.
And actually getting included in those top 10 lists or even below the fold in the top 100 or something is really hard work, because they know they're earning this and that's the conversion rate on each of these links. I'm an unknown. So if you've got a brand and you're trying to break into affiliate, you've really got to then be known. So you've got to actually say, yeah, this is what it is. Or you've got to pay for the space until you can prove yourself by conversion rates. So you have to think about how you're going to do it. You've got to invest in it. So it might be money investment, it might be time investment, it might just be a relationship investment, but you've got to invest it in the channel. You've got to invest in your affiliates or potential affiliates to make sure it's going to work for you.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point too. That if you're a new brand with a lot of competitors and you can see how much money that they're probably making from those competitors, like you got to figure out some way to incentivize or de-risk the situation for the affiliate where it makes sense to test it, because you may be a superior product and everything else,
Mm.
but brand goes a long way. And so you just have to think like, maybe I pay a little bit more, or maybe I provide something else that gives you that like motivation to give me a shot, and then let my like product speak for itself.
Yeah, sure. And provide kind of specific graphics. So they say, I could do with, yeah, I can send a mail out to my guys. Can you do me a mailer? Do a mailer, but do a really cracking mailer, brilliant one that you know is going to convert. Maybe give them two options so they can choose one which they like best, or A/B test them. It gives it gives you the edge, I think, because then you're going that extra mile. And as with anything in life, if you do that, then you've got more of a chance than you have if you're just kind of say, well, I've got this. Do you want it?
So on that too, for that program, was there anything that was like a surprisingly successful thing you didn't expect? Like that there was like an affiliate or some action you took that was like way more successful than you were expecting?
Yeah, it was. I suppose from that one, it was one conversation at back in those days. I think it's called A for You, with Richard, who's quite an influential UK SEO guy, but is also one of the bigger hosting affiliates. The conversation. He then did a little feature on ours because our product was aimed at the SME, this thing called Easy Space with a nice little elephant. But the thing he focused on was at the time we were running this thing like a charity thing. We had these big glass fiber elephants all over Britain. You've probably seen them all painted, and you've seen cows and other things, similar kind of thing. So we had those all over the place, and he ran a little piece on that on his website, and that actually got more sign-ups than any other activity we did during that year. Mad, but hey, it's about kind of thinking around the subject and providing them something that's a bit different. Because after all, a web hosting review site is deadly boring. Give them a bit of fun, and he ran with it, which is great.
It's also a great example of like, you never know what's going to work with some of this stuff. You just have to like keep
Exactly.
trying different things and keep talking to more and more partners until you find the ones that are the perfect fit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Great. So do you have any like say like best practices or recommendations about how to actually recruit affiliates? So now that I've gone in to Publisher Discovery, I found maybe like 20, 30 affiliates that are promoting my competitors that are perfect. Like, how do I actually go about recruiting them?
I think first thing, I think I just mentioned, get to know them, get to know who they are, what drives them, what's important for them, um, kind of pretty much kind of what makes them tick. So you'll get an idea from reading the blog, and invest your time in reading their blog or reading their site, understand where they're coming from. That way, when you reach out to them, you're not just to saying, you've seen standard network emails going out saying, would you like to join our program? Oh God, it's about them. You need to be talking about the publisher, what's about them. So kind of, I see you've done this, this, and this. I'd love to be involved in the next time you do that. So that kind of stuff. It's just about having empathy and about having an understanding of what they're about as a business and as a person. Um, and they are people. You're dating, and that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get attention. It's a mix of dating and a sales process. So if you think it's kind of both of those rolled into one, you're on about the right place. So don't get creepy with stalking them on LinkedIn and then appearing on everything else. But that happens. You can look at the profile on LinkedIn, but don't try every channel at once. if you're going to use the brand affiliate approach within Twitter, then great, follow the people you're wanting to contact. That's nice because they like have extra followers because it makes them look better. But also you get a chance to soft land anything. So when you do send out the email saying, I love what you've written about blah, 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 it's soft landed because they're aware of you and they're aware that there's potential. Because even if they don't remember the fact that you've said, oh, I've seen that brand before. Yeah, what's that? Oh, yeah. So it's about kind of clicking the ratchet. Every touch point is an extra click until you get to, where you actually kind of land it, that kind of stuff. So each one of those actions will add to it. The more you do that, the more you meet people at shows. Hey, maybe sometime next year.
One day.
God knows when that will be. Yeah. The more you meet people at shows and actually get involved and talk to them, have conversations, and remember what you've read about them as well. Even if you have to remember using something like HubSpot or Salesforce to make the notes about it, when you come to that conversation and the guy rings you up and say, oh yeah, I saw you did that great blog piece on, he probably knows that you're reading your HubSpot, your Salesforce record for it. But the thing is, you remembered, that shows an interest. And once that kind of stuff happens, it's better than kind of a call center in Bangalore ringing up saying, hi, Mr. Tradgett, what's the weather like in your, that's not empathy. That's just kind of reading a script. It's got to be about the person.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, do that. Use multiple touch points. Email can work, but if you're getting more than 7, 8, 9% response on an email, recruiting emails, you're doing really, really well. I hear 2 and 3% is likely. But if you go via the social route, find out which social channel they're using most and actually work with them on that. So if it's a fashion influencer, it's likely to be Instagram, Pinterest, maybe TikTok, but actually kind of work the channels and work around them and actually kind of talk to somebody where they are. You go to the right bar because you know they're going to be there. You go to the right social area because you know they're going to be on Twitter or they're going to be on Facebook or whatever it might be. Get involved.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And I think it's worth reiterating, keep in mind that anyone who is a super affiliate that lives and breathes this because they're very good at generating sales and making money off this,
Mm-hmm.
The better they are, that means the more companies are constantly reaching out to them about working together, which means that you're going into a very competitive field where it's very easy for them to just ignore everything.
Yeah.
So I think that's a perfect example. You have to figure out how to make it personal, that you stand out, because it doesn't matter what your product is or anything else. Unless you're a top tier brand, you have to break that ice in a way that they actually pay attention enough to realize oh, this is worth something that is a genuine opportunity for me.
Yeah. And bear in mind, I was talking with the guys from Top Cashback, and peak times of year, they might get something between 2,000 and 4,000 emails from advertisers every month. Now, if you think you're going to get read when you say join my program, that ain't going anywhere. Somebody once every month, probably a junior or an intern, is going to be clearing out an inbox, and that's what's going to happen there. You've got to get far more involved than that. You've got to actually provide something. It's a value exchange, isn't it?
For sure, among humans, because at the end of the day, that really matters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. So next up, is there anything that should be considered around potential fraud when recruiting new affiliates?
Yeah, I think kind of you may well uncover big chunks of it if you're kind of doing your investigation. You're actually looking deeper than it's a website, then you'll have an understanding there. I would also, of course, use detection tools because that's, particularly if you're in an area where it's important, either your brand is really strong, your Hermes or Mulberry purses or something like that, or you're in finance where it's highly regulated. You wouldn't have let anybody on your program. Use something like Brand Verity or I think 24 Metrics, IPQS, I think is another one I've seen around. But use whatever tool it is that you've got going, because there are plenty around there detecting fraudulent activity. Also check your metrics on what's happening with the clicks going through once you've got them in, just to make sure you haven't got kind of guys appearing with, particularly if you're working on a CPC or cost per install program, you haven't got guys with ranks of with iPhones in somewhere in kind of China, kind of just downloading multiple versions of your product for the commission, which does happen. You'll have an understanding from looking at whether it looks like real world stuff. If it happens every 3 seconds, all day, every day, then something's going on. If it's happening with the peaks and troughs of the day, then it's organic. It's got to look organic in your stats for a start off. But yeah, get to know who it is you're recruiting before you do it, and don't just send out a blanket email, unless you're doing something which you just want anybody and everybody. And I count that anything kind of within the gaming gambling sector could be that kind of area. And there are other sectors where they just want everything and anything, regardless of quality of it. They just want numbers. But yeah, even there, they'll be identifying any unusual patterns. But if you're running on CPA stuff, then you're normally reasonably safe if you know where the actions are happening and how they're happening and what kind of frequency, what the cadence between them.
Yeah, that's a good point. And especially with like e-commerce CPA, from managing many affiliate programs, I can tell you that most fraud is very obvious. So if you're just doing as simple things of just seeing like when your conversions come in, and then you see 10 conversions coming in at like 2 a.m. your time, like know that maybe that's suspicious. Like a lot of this fraud is very easily caught. So one thing we recommend at Everflow is you just set like a quick automation rule around things like unnatural conversion rates, unnatural spikes in conversions from a single placement. You can use Smart Switch for this to really catch most of these types of fraud very easily. And then if you're starting to go into mobile, then it becomes like fraud is a much larger issue in mobile. But for CPA e-commerce, like you can do very simple rules and catch like 90%, probably 95% of all fraud.
That's cool. Good stuff. Yeah.
Cool. So do you have any best practice recommendations for scaling a program that's already successful? So you have your affiliate program, you're already generating hundreds of thousands of dollars a month from it. How do you take it to the next level?
Well, the obvious thing is kind of what's working now, and then try and replicate that find others the same. So we're doing that. That all works. I need more of that, whatever that might be, whether it's influencers on fashion or whether it's kind of cashback for, travel insurance sites or something like that. Do that and scale it, but also think in terms of have a look at what your competitors are doing. If somebody else is selling the same as you, if they're selling beds and you're selling beds, see what they're doing. Check their SEO and stuff, check keywords, check backlinks, see who's if you've got a brand name, so Tempest Bed or Silent Night or whatever the brand names were, have a look and see who's showing up for those brand names that are kind of on a similar level to what you're distributing. And then you can think, okay, right, that's useful. We can start kind of piggybacking on that. If they're doing well with Tempest, if they're getting kind of page 1 listings for Silent Night beds, even though they're only an affiliate, then I want to be involved with those guys. So look at those people there. Also think in terms of going slightly outside your box. So if you're on beds, people who buy beds also buy sofas, and they also buy gardening equipment, stuff like that. So think kind of broader. You might find people with gardening, kind of yard work kind of websites that also have side traffic, people who are interested in doing, the rest of the home as well at the same time. So that's potential. And then look outside your geo as well. So a great example I use is Master of Malts was a whiskey retailer in UK space, part of the Budweiser empire, I think. And what they did, they used our tool basically over a 6-month period to recruit new affiliates. And they looked at where they could actually distribute to, and they could distribute to. They concentrated on the UK because it's a big enough market. People know what whiskey is here, don't have to think about it. But they actually recruited a lot of affiliates in Germany and the Nordics. So Sweden, Norway, Denmark, etc. And the beauty of that was they got 50 new affiliates active on the program. The basket size went up by about 25-30% for those guys. And overall, those 50 affiliates they recruited delivered, I think, over 26% of the overall website revenue for that year. So It's worthwhile looking just outside your box. Go look at different areas, somewhere close, somewhere nearby. So if you're US, if you can deliver to Canada, hey, why aren't you? Find some Canadian affiliates. Look at Smart Canucks if you're not on that site, and just
Sorry, what was
convert
that?
to Smart Canucks, one of the Canadian kind of coupon sites and review sites. Smartcanucks.ca, I think it is. There's a whole load of similar kind of things. There'll be sites in Mexico. You can probably deliver to Mexico. It's only a trip over the border if you can get across the border from Texas. But yeah, if you can deliver there, why aren't you running an affiliate program there?
Mm-hmm.
It's just daft not to. So that's the kind of stuff you can do. Just look outside your comfort zone and think, where can I get to?
Yeah, I want to highlight one of the things that you brought because I think it's really an interesting concept. Hopefully I'm paraphrasing this correctly, but like once you're say successful with like the vertical of beds,
Mm-hmm.
then going extra granular and being like, of the beds I sell, what are the most comparable competitor beds?
Mm-hmm.
And what are the affiliates and partners ranking up on those SEO keywords? And then recruiting those affiliates. That way
Yeah.
you've gone from like broad match to sort of like very specific groups, and
Yeah.
you're finding different audiences for each. I think that's a really
Yeah.
interesting way to break down like how you take it to the next level. It's just you go the next layer
Mm.
deeper.
Yeah. And a great phrase, that audiences, because one of the beauties of diversification is that an affiliate will have, if you're only working with coupon affiliates or only working with loyalty cashback affiliates, that's a particular type of audience. When you look at review, you've got an entirely different audience. When you look at, kind of mainstream media, it's like Cosmopolitan magazine and things, they're all affiliates.
Mm-hmm.
And most advertisers don't even realize that, Wall Street Journal operates as an affiliate, Daily Mail operates as an affiliate. They've got huge numbers of affiliate links all over their websites. The New York Times, they're all doing it. So that's another entirely different audience. The conversion will be through the floor because they've got 300 million visits a month. You're going to get the shaving of the shaving of the shaving of that volume, but it'll still be decent. But then you've got other people, the mommy bloggers. That's an entirely other audience. So you think in terms of that, but also think in terms of adapting what you're saying and the communications messages for those audiences as well. So, if it's kind of Master of Malt selling in Germany, you need some German banners for a start off.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do it just in English. So as that kind of stuff goes on, but also think in terms of actually tempering the message so that if you're dealing with, if you're selling bread making flour, which is kind of hot on my kind of thing, if you're selling bread making flour, it's great if you're selling to bakers and to people like that. But if you want to sell to people who are just learning how to cook, you need to be doing a different way. Maybe it's by recipe kind of thing, that kind of stuff. So adapt what you're doing to the audiences that you're trying to target through a new set of publishers.
That's great advice. Cool. And when we were speaking earlier, you mentioned that publisher discovery has changed a bunch based on like client feedback and client advice.
Yeah.
Can you understand, like, sort of like, if you're going to break down, like, what is like the broad sort of changing you're seeing to the ecosystem based on like client feedback and stuff? Can you go a little bit into that?
Yeah, sure. Well, we launched this over a year ago, and it was kind of fairly simple. But we've kind of, as we're adding features in, they're normally based upon, we've got probably a 2 to 3 year dev schedule kind of rolled out in front of us of stuff we want to do, but I'm afraid our tech guys have only got so many fingers between them, so can't do the whole lot at once. So what we do when is in part due to what people have said, we could really do with having by country. So that came right up the dev schedule. And so we introduced that a little while back. So you can look for all the affiliates in Canada who deal with beds. So you can filter bam, bam, bam that fast. So that has been phenomenal. There's lots of other toys we're adding into the pram as we go along, and which I won't tell because I see that a couple of our guys are on the call, so I'm not going to drop any kind of sneak peeks at all. But there will be lots and lots of additional kind of refinements coming in, and they are mostly they've been brought up the schedule where somebody said, "I'll be really great if you could do this," or a networker said, "Be great if you could do this as part of it, as part of your integration with us," and things like that. So yeah, we love user feedback, and even kind of people who aren't users yet. So any people in here who aren't users yet, but say, "Oh, I'll tell you what I could do with it's this, this, and this," then we'll listen to that and we'll kind of think, okay, how can we do that? What makes it work? And that kind of, it's about, going back to where I started from. I was running a program with Google, keyword bashing, everybody's done. So what would have made my life easier that side? What's going to make somebody's life easier this side? We've already gone from weeks and weeks of trawling, save kind of 5 hours a week just by cutting out all of the searching stuff and giving you, there's your list. Boom. All the hard work's done. The heavy lifting's done by technology. So what can we do to make it even easier and much simpler or more effective? So they're the kind of things we want to bring in. So I'm not sure I actually answer what you asked, but yeah, I get a bit excited talking about what we're up to here.
No, I think it does sort of, I mean, if we're going to break down what that means, it means that like the world of like partner recruitment stuff has gotten to this point where you need to go to that extra level of like granular detail. I think that's sort of like, sounds like what a lot of these features are. It's like, how can you get that snapshot of who's going to be not only the perfect person today, but when you want to recruit the next 10 publishers down the line, like how do you find them? Breaking it down into smaller and smaller silos like really helps with that.
Yeah, sure. And if you are after the most influential guy in your sector to write about you, you want to be being written by the guys who are next level under him. So if you can't get this guy straight away, get these guys. And he sees them being, oh, they're writing about us, must be okay then. So it will happen. It won't happen fast when you're dealing with influencers, when you're dealing with content websites and bloggers like that. It will be slow, but if you work at it and you keep working at it and you keep thinking in terms of who these guys are, they're people, then that's kind of when you start seeing more success, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy for both partners and PR. That a lot of times it's like the small to medium-sized blogs that are being followed by the large blogs and large news organizations, because that's like their curation system. If they follow the smaller blogs, they can see like what they're posting and then they can do their version of it. So a lot of times like all of these like sort of like publication feedback loops are like small to big. So if you're getting on the small side, a lot of times like you're still being seen by the big players, and by doing that, like it's a lot easier to work with them because they know who you are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. So just to wrap this up, where do you see like the future of affiliate marketing and partner marketing over the next few years?
It's interesting. I just tweeted this morning and copied in Brian from Tunes because I was kind of included for what were our forecast for 2020 back in December, I think it was. So we're all forecasting what we expected 2020 to do, and it's quite funny thinking about it. If only we'd known then what we know now. It's been a whole other world. So I have no idea. I think in terms of how things are changing, I mean, we've seen big changes already. Black Friday is going to be very, very interesting this year. There's been a bit of a backlash, I think, in the States last year where stores are opening on Thanksgiving. I think most of them are stopped. Walmart's closing. Old Navy, none of them aren't opening on. They're moving everything online. So they're staying closed, but everything's happening faster. And things may start happening before actual Black Friday. Amazon's Prime Day has been pushed. So Amazon Prime Day may well end up being the start of the Black Friday ramp up. So if you think in terms of Black Friday is going to start in October, that's not scary at all. So when you start seeing Christmas trees in the streets in kind of July, you think, hang on, this is just stupid. But, October's bad enough. But I think you'll see an awful lot more. The shift to online has been massive. This year, I saw a stat which is saying that Q1 to Q2, the growth in online retail was the same as the previous 3 years. So that just concentrates the mind, which is why so many people have had massive issues with getting inventory, but also distributing. So that has been, as with the B&Q example of closing a website for 45 minutes and things like that. So you got to wait. So that kind of level of massive and very sudden increase has had to, I think it must have created, I haven't heard firsthand on this one, created massive changes within retail organizations of being able to scale way faster than they ever did before. So I think you'll see a lot more agility from the better players in the marketplace. They'll be doing stuff much faster and responding to any competitive activity much faster than they ever did before. Okay, still stuck with length of time from manufacture to delivery, but they'll have stuff in place whereby they can pivot from A to B or B to C or whatever it might be. So that's the change. Into 2021, God knows what happens with travel. Was it airline travel went down by 95%, and I was saying in a session we did the other day that I was talking to a Swiss affiliate who was big in the travel market. It's all about the points guy, those kinds of things. Anyway, that kind of website, and he'd lost 95% of his revenue, but pivoted because he knew all the people in the airlines. They had airplanes kind of empty. People in all the countries wanted PPE to be shipped around the world, so he ended up on a CPA basis, being an affiliate, chartering aircraft to ship PPE from A to B on a percentage revenue basis. So that's what you call a pivot. The most agile players will be the most successful. I think that is all I can say at what's going to happen between now and 2021.
That's a really good point. I also think that the first affiliate conference of 2021, if there is any, is going to have the most ridiculous parties that there's been in like 8 years of affiliate marketing.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, be like those mad ones from 2006 and 7. Yeah.
Yeah. Back when the money flew.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah.
Cool. So does any oh yeah, go ahead.
Yes, you carry on.
I was just going to say, does anyone from the audience have any questions? We're wrapping this up, so if anyone wants to put in questions in the Q&A, now's the time. Cool. So we'll give that a few minutes. Yeah. Sure. So any parting thoughts or advice you have for anyone who's trying to take their affiliate marketing really to the next level?
Any partying thoughts? Thoughts. Yeah, sure. Any partying thoughts have to be with a mask on at the moment, I think, don't they? I would say the key thing is going to be happening, we talked about, is about being agile. The future of affiliate is going to become far more technical. It will no longer be guys in back bedrooms kind of creating sites and kind of creating their own CSS on the fly and raw HTML sites like Zyro.org, if you remember that one. There'll be more machine learning stuff, more AI, even at the affiliate level. So they'll be pulling in the data feeds from advertisers, and they'll actually be reading understanding what their audiences are doing and delivering stuff that their audience wants from it. So you'll see the big cashback and coupon sites actually being far more intelligent about the way they're presenting content, which actually makes it a far more exciting place. There'll be more server-based stuff. Tracking which is changing hugely, kind of what pixel, what tracking links will come sometime soon, I've no doubt. There'll be an awful lot more transparency going on as well. I don't think it'd be as easy to hide stuff that's nefarious. There is a lot more visibility of what's happening. You can't hide behind kind of cloaked links and that kind of stuff, because it just doesn't happen now. So the Wild West should have pretty much ended unless you had to be in Russia or India. But it's pretty much ended. There will be an awful lot more tech involved, and a lot more kind of people seem to be moving a lot towards naked linking. That's quite powerful. We're working a way around that as well, so we can find who's linking to who. We know it's an affiliate link, but we can't quite see why at the moment, but we're working on that.
Yeah, we do that through direct linking. So
yeah, it'll
be interesting. I mean, can you pull UTM codes right now?
Oh, possibly. Yeah, I wouldn't well, I
Mm.
couldn't possibly comment.
Because that's very similar to how we do it with direct
Yeah,
linking, where
yeah, yeah,
you're passing parameters and detecting it that way.
yeah. And you've got a few others: Link Connector, Trade Tracker, Partnerize. They're all doing things slightly
Never heard of
different
them.
ways.
They sound like
No,
competition.
exactly.
Don't like
Yeah.
it.
I love it. But I remember we did the first uh, cookieless and server-to-server tracking at Buyout back in 2007, I think it was,
Hmm.
2006, 7. They discovered, we thought, yeah, we can do this. So it just looked like it was direct link from an affiliate site to merchant. We had a couple of programs running in those days on that, but I don't think it wasn't massively scalable. It was really early days. So yeah, quite complex, but I'm sure that people have moved on an awful long way. I've not been involved in the actual tracking for a while, so I just kind of forensically analyze what's going on with it nowadays.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I think this is really fantastic. I think there's a lot of takeaways for how to discover publishers and like how to scale and grow, and a lot of stuff about like how to think about those relationships, because at the end of the
Mm,
day it's about how you think about the relationships and how you think about who you're recruiting and why they fit within your program. Like
yeah.
combining all that stuff is all super critical, and thank you so much for like going deep on this stuff.
Yes, pleasure. It's been good fun. Yeah.
Likewise. All right, thanks everyone for attending. As mentioned in the chat, we'll be editing this video together and we'll probably provide it in about 2 weeks as like the polished version. So thanks everyone.
Bye.